William Shatner became the oldest man in history to go to space. But when he came back, he wasn't celebrating. He was shaken. What he saw in those 10 minutes didn't inspire him. It disturbed him. No smile, no victory speech, just silence and tears. But what's even harder to understand is that this wasn't the first time his life took a turn like that. Because long before space, before the fame, before the world knew his name, he had already lost everything. From sleeping in a truck, to finding the love of his life gone in his own home, to one decision he made that still follows him decades later. This isn't just the story of a man who played a hero. It's the story of a man who spent his entire life trying to figure out what really matters. Before he became a global icon, William Shatner was just a kid in Montreal, a place where he never quite felt like he belonged. Growing up in a Jewish household during a time when acceptance wasn't guaranteed, he learned early that fitting in wasn't something you were given. It was something you had to fight for. And he did. But no matter where he went, there was always this feeling, like he was slightly out of place, too loud, too ambitious, too different. Until one day, he stepped onto a stage, and everything changed. For the first time in his life, people weren't looking past him. They were watching him, listening. And in that moment, he realized something dangerous. He didn't just want to act. He needed it. But chasing that feeling would come at a cost he didn't fully understand yet. And that cost would hit him harder than anyone expected. By the time Star Trek came along, he wasn't chasing fame anymore. He was chasing survival. The show itself, nobody expected it to matter. It wasn't prestigious, it wasn't respected, and it definitely wasn't supposed to make history. But somehow, it did. Captain Kirk became more than a character. He became hope. At a time when the world felt unstable, people looked at him and saw a future where humanity actually made it. And at the center of it all was Shatner, confident, fearless, in control. Everything people wished they could be. But just as quickly as it rose, it ended, canceled, quietly, without ceremony. And in that moment, everything changed. Because what came next almost erased him completely. After Star Trek ended, the offers didn't come. They disappeared. Hollywood had already made its decision. To them, he wasn't an actor anymore. He was just Kirk and nothing else. The roles dried up, the money followed. And eventually, William Shatner found himself living in a pickup truck. Yes, that man, sleeping in parking lots, taking whatever small jobs he could find, trying to support his kids while pretending everything was okay. During the day, he smiled. At night, the fear set in, because deep down, he was asking himself one question. Was that it? Was his entire life already behind him? But just when it looked like the story was over, something unexpected happened. A decade later, Hollywood did something no one saw coming. They brought it back. Star Trek, the motion picture. And just like that, he was Captain Kirk again. But this time, it was different. This wasn't just a role anymore. It was redemption. Every struggle, every failure, every night in that truck, it all showed up in his performance, and people felt it. The films exploded. The franchise grew. And suddenly, he wasn't forgotten anymore. He was legendary. Later, he would prove it again with Boston Legal, winning awards, earning respect he never got the first time around. It looked like he had finally won, but life doesn't work like that. Because just when everything stabilized, he was about to face something far worse than failure. In the late 90s, he found love again with Noreen Kidd. It was intense, real, unexpected, but behind the scenes, there was a struggle. One he couldn't fix, He tried. He stayed. He fought for her. But addiction doesn't play fair, and one afternoon, everything stopped. He came home and found her in the pool, gone, just like that. No warning, no second chance. And for a man who had spent his life moving forward, this was something he couldn't outrun. He didn't break down publicly. He didn't disappear. He just kept going. But something inside him changed. And what came next would leave a different kind of scar, one that time couldn't fix. His relationship with Leonard Nimoy was complicated. Part friendship, part rivalry, part something neither of them fully understood. They weren't always close, but they were connected in a way few people ever are. Then, Nimoy passed away, and William Shatner didn't attend the funeral. The backlash was immediate. People judged him, criticized him, turned on him. But the truth was worse than what anyone said online, because later, he admitted it himself. Missing that moment was one of the biggest regrets of his life. Not because of the headlines, but because it was the last chance. And he wasn't there. And by then, the people who knew him best were disappearing, leaving him with something he never expected. One by one, the people from his past were gone. Co-stars, friends, pieces of his life. And what remained was silence. Because there's something no one tells you about living a long life. You don't just gain years, you lose people. And eventually, you become the only one left who remembers certain moments. For a man who spent his life being seen by millions, that kind of loneliness hits differently. And then, at 90 years old, he made a decision that would change everything again. This time, for good. When William Shatner boarded a flight with Blue Origin, people expected a full circle moment. The man who played a space captain, finally going to space. It was supposed to be poetic, inspiring, but it wasn't. Because when he looked down at Earth, he didn't feel wonder. He felt something else. The planet looked fragile, thin, breakable, like everything we know exists on a tiny line that could disappear at any moment. And when he came back down, he couldn't hide it. He was emotional, shaken, quiet. Because for the first time in his life, he wasn't playing a character who understood the universe. He was just a man, realizing how small everything is, and how rare it all is after everything. The fame, the fall, the comeback, the loss, the regret. It wasn't space that defined him. It was perspective, because in just 10 minutes, he understood something that took most people a lifetime to miss. That none of this is guaranteed. Not success, not time, not even the people you think will always be there. And maybe that's the real story. Not the captain, not the legend, but the man who spent his entire life chasing meaning only to find it at the very edge of everything. If this story changed the way you see things even a little, make sure you subscribe, because there are more stories like this that people don't usually talk about. And trust me, the next one might hit even harder.